Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is a chatty one and it's mainly to do with safe sleeping. So it's Safe Sleeping Awareness Week, or Safer Sleeping in the UK, and that's kind of running from the 11th to the 18th of March. So by the time you see this, we're sort of at the mid-week point of that, and I just basically wanted to bring something up which I think is a little bit of a controversial topic in the mummy sphere, and that's basically co-sleeping. Am I a bad mum for co-sleeping? Am I? Well, I don't think I am, but I know that it's a very topical sort of subject and a lot of people have, you know, their sort of contribution to it, and I thought this was a good time to come and share my experience with Riley and what's kind of got me in that position and why I've made that decision, and to also consider that there are reasons why you shouldn't, you know, sort of adapt this method, and I can definitely see what the risks are. I think this video was especially inspired by an email that I received from Bounty, and it was in collaboration with the Lullaby Trust, who basically sort of give advice on best and safe practice for sleeping when you have, you know, babies, toddlers and just generally young children. And it stood out to me because obviously the main thing that they reference to is SIDS, and I'm sure most people know, but that's basically a sudden infant death syndrome, and a lot of the time the cases that we hear about that are to do with babies having been in the cot and then, you know, having stopped breathing, and it's a very, very unfortunate case, and I guess a scenario for any mum or any parent to be in or to experience, and I can't even begin to imagine how that would feel. I can't say I relate because I've never been in that position, but I just know that that would be absolutely heartbreaking for me. And so I think it was important to then sort of bring out the side of people that do alternative sleeping methods, and just to say that that can be done in a safe way. So for me as a co-sleeper, or some people might say bed sharer, I have always considered that awareness is essential. So awareness of baby space, my space, and husband space. So essentially we started with a next to me, and although we had Riley's room set up with all the furniture and the cot, we quickly discovered that in terms of sleeping and settled routines, he struggled with sort of lying down flat, and you know, that later sort of then went on to be discovered with nursery as well, and he always had a preference for kind of sleeping under maybe a pregnancy pillow or anything that was sort of beanbag like, anything that made him feel like he was cocooned, hugged, or just, you know, like that sense of security, something that he preferred. So we quickly realised that the Moses basket wasn't really an option for us, which a lot of parents do invest in and do buy, but again, you don't really use a Moses basket for that long, potentially 4-8 weeks, when they're absolutely diddy. Now Riley was a little bit massive, he was close to 10 pounds, so he basically did fit in his Moses basket, but he was just too chunky because every time he moved he'd kind of like disturb himself, so that was a quick no. So next to me was a really nice option for us, but what we did is we used my pregnancy pillow, and then, you know, you've also got other options where you've got grow bags and you pop babies in there and zip them up, but we quickly discovered, again, with all the lovely grow bags that we purchased and been gifted from family and friends, they weren't really Riley's style. He didn't like the restriction, and that wasn't going to work for him, so that was dropped fairly quickly. And then between the sort of connection, oh, just dropped my phone, and between the sort of like connection that he had with breastfeeding, we found that moving him between the next to me and the bed worked really well for us and for him, because he felt like we were close enough, he could sense everything, but he then settled well knowing that we were nearby, and that's kind of transpired into sort of his first year, post first birthday. So we're now at about 20 months and we're still co-sleeping, going hard, going strong, and what was funny for me is when I did try and do the sleep training for him in his own room, in what we then made into junior bed. So we ended up actually taking our cot sides apart to make it into a junior bed, because we thought he's not enjoying this, it will be easier to put him down. Again, he would have daytime naps, but at night time you'd find that he'd try and get out of bed. And I know that they are you know, mums on every scale that will say no, it's all about training, but I feel like my husband couldn't handle the crying and the process, and he just wanted Riley to be more settled, so he actively said let's have him in the bed. And because it was kind of something that worked for both of us, we found that our nights are more pleasant, they're more unsettled, we get a lot more consistency as well. He sleeps for much longer, and it means that we're rested, so we can pretty much do about over an 8 hour stretch, and it's really good. Now in terms of sleeping safely, I actively made sure that we purchased a duvet that was of a sort of smaller tog. So generally we have a summer duvet most of the time, because it's just light enough. It keeps us warm, but it's also something that Riley could move if he needs to, if he's uncomfortable. We didn't want anything that would swallow him up. We've also actively chosen to only have flatter pillows, so all our fluffy pillows are just decorative, which my husband just doesn't understand, but they're all just decorative. And then the pillows that we actually sleep on are much flatter, which then allows Riley to move between both sides with freedom and ease. And so far that's worked for us. And also in terms of how we dress him, I mean, we don't have a grow bag, and he doesn't have a small blanket on top of him anymore or anything, whereas when we started I used to kind of try and put him in his own little sheet and a little blanket, but because he's such a wriggler that didn't work for him. So now just make sure he's got nice long sleeve PJs, and you know, his pyjama bottoms are always kind of tapered at the bottom, so that if he does try and put his feet out, which he does a lot when he feels warm, he's still warm and secure. And I think we both try our best to sort of wake up during the middle of the night just to check that all is well with positioning, which sometimes is, you know, you find him in crazy positions at the top of the headboard, you know, his legs on his dad's head and his arms on mine, and little things like that that we're both happy to do. And I think that gives us the confidence, and as much as we are aware of the difficulties that could come if that's done at a really early stage of a child's life, we feel like we are practicing safe sleeping for Riley. And I just thought I'd share that just to encourage any parents out there that are co-sleepers, that, you know, it's a decision that you've made, and it's okay. It's a bit of an alternative decision that people don't usually like, but it's a good one if it works for you. And I think this is just more of an encouragement video about, you know, that it's good to have awareness of what the best practice is, but also sometimes doing something that works for you, although it's not the #1 route, can be okay if you know what you're doing, or try your best to do it in the best way possible. So yeah, super chatty, but I thought I'd just give a little bit of an insight into what we do with our sleep routine. And I'm not too sure if you guys would like to see what our evening routine is like, but if you do, then definitely leave a little note below and just say, you know, you'd like to see what our evening routine is, and I'll try and get hubby to film what we get up to. But yeah, until the next video guys, thanks so much for watching, take care, bye.